First contact with force. Detective First Class Zixtal stood motionless, their four crystalline eyes scanning the destroyed security barrier. The most advanced containment field in the Galactic Alliance had been breached as if it were little more than decorative light. The iridescent scales along their neck shifted from deep blue to a troubled green as they absorbed the impossibility before them. Preliminary analysis complete. Detective, chirped their AI assistant. No known species in our database possesses both the strength and technological expertise to accomplish this breach. Zixtal's mandibles clicked in frustration. This was the third such break in this lunar cycle, and like the others, it defied conventional explanation. The perpetrator had somehow disabled a quantum-locked security grid, torn through a reinforced plasteel door, and accessed highly classified research data, all while avoiding identification by the facility's advanced bioscanners. "Show me the security footage again," Zixtal commanded, their translator rendering the clicks and whistles into standard galactic basic. The holographic display materialized before them, showing the empty corridor from multiple angles. At precisely 300 local time, the feeds experienced a 3-second disruption. When they resumed, the barrier was broken, and the intruder was already inside. "Magnify section Delta 7, they instructed. Something had caught their attention, a barely visible distortion in the air, like heat waves rising from hot ground. The AI complied, and Zixtal's eyes narrowed. There, for just a fraction of a second, they could make out a humanoid shape. Cross-reference with known species profiles, Zixtal ordered. Focus on physical capabilities and technological signatures. The AI worked silently for several moments before responding. Match found. 89% probability the perpetrator is of Terran origin, specifically human. Zixtal's scales shifted to a startled white. Humans were among the newest members of the Galactic Alliance, having achieved faster-than-light travel barely 50 years ago. Their technology was considered primitive by most standards, and their physiology was unremarkable compared to many species. Yet here was evidence suggesting human involvement in one of the most sophisticated break-ins the detective had ever encountered. Contact the Terran Embassy, Zixtal decided. Request all available information on their military capabilities, particularly their special operations units. The response came faster than expected, in the form of a human woman in a crisp military uniform, materializing via hologram. "Detective Zixtal, I'm Colonel Sarah Hayes, Terran Marine Corps Intelligence Division. I understand you have questions about human capabilities." Zixtal noted the directness of the human's approach, typical of their species. "Colonel, someone has breached 3 of our most secure facilities in the past lunar cycle. The evidence suggests human involvement, yet the method exceeds known human technological capabilities." Hayes's expression remained neutral, but Zixtal's sensitive eyes detected a slight increase in her heart rate. "Perhaps," she said carefully, "we should discuss this in person. Some information is too sensitive for normal channels." Within 2 hours, Zixtal found themselves in a secure meeting room at the Terran Embassy, face to face with Colonel Hayes. The human was smaller than Zixtal had expected, standing barely 2/3 their height, yet there was an unmistakable air of authority about her. "What I'm about to tell you is classified at the highest levels," Hayes began without preamble. 6 months ago, one of our most decorated Marine Force recon operators, Major James Cooper, disappeared with experimental stealth technology. We believe he's gone rogue, possibly working for private interests. Zixtal's scales rippled with interest. The technology, it allows for quantum field manipulation. Among other things, Hayes confirmed. It's a neural interface system that enhances natural human abilities while providing advanced technological capabilities. We call it the G-Host protocol. Major Cooper was one of its primary test subjects. Why haven't you apprehended him? Hayes's jaw tightened. Cooper was the best of the best. With the G-Host system, he's nearly invisible to conventional detection methods. We've been tracking him across 3 sectors, but he's always one step ahead. Zixtel processed this information, their analytical mind already forming connections. The facilities that were breached, they all contained data on xenobiological research, specifically studies on human genetic adaptability. Exactly, Hayes nodded. We believe Cooper is gathering information for someone, but we don't know who. What we do know is that he's escalating. The next target will likely be the Central Research Archive on Proxima Station, the most secure facility in the sector, Zixtel mused. Their scales shifted to a determined bronze. Colonel, I propose a joint operation. Your knowledge of the subject combined with my investigative resources might give us a chance to catch him. Hayes finished. I agree, but we'll need to move fast. According to our intelligence, Cooper will make his move within the next 48 hours. As they began planning, Zixtel couldn't help but marvel at the complexity of the situation. Humans were full of contradictions, technologically behind many species, yet capable of adapting and using advanced systems in ways their creators never imagined. Physically unremarkable, yet able to push their limits far beyond what should be possible. Colonel, Zixtel said as they reviewed the security layouts of Proxima Station, what drives someone like Cooper? What makes a decorated warrior turn against their own? Hayes' expression darkened. That's what worries me most, Detective. Cooper was more than just a good soldier. He was a true believer in protecting humanity's interests. If he's doing this, he must believe he's serving a greater purpose, and that makes him more dangerous than any mere criminal. Then we must discover this purpose, Zixtel declared, their scales now showing the deep crimson of determination. Before whatever he's planning threatens both our species. As they continued their preparations, neither of them noticed the slight distortion in the air near the room's ventilation shaft, a heat wave ripple that shouldn't exist in the climate-controlled environment. Within that distortion, a figure watched with interest as human and alien worked together, planning to stop him. Major James Cooper allowed himself a small smile. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. The pattern emerges. The holographic display aboard Proxima Station cast an eerie blue glow across Detective Zixtel's scaled features as they studied the security grid layout. Beside them, Colonel Hayes paced with controlled precision, her boots making no sound on the polished floor, a habit from years of stealth operations. There's a pattern here we're missing, Hayes muttered, stopping to examine a particular section of the display. Cooper never does anything without multiple layers of purpose. Explain, Zixtel requested, their crystalline eyes shifting focus to the human colonel. In Force Recon, we train to make every action serve at least 3 objectives. Cooper was better at it than anyone. Hayes pointed to the previous break-in locations. These facilities aren't just connected by xenobiological research. Look at their positions in relation to major space lanes. Zixtel's scales rippled with sudden understanding. They form a perfect triangulation point, with Proxima Station at the center. Exactly. He's not just gathering data. He's setting up something bigger. Hayes pulled up additional displays, showing shipping manifests and traffic patterns. Each facility he had also received unusual cargo shipments in the weeks before the break-ins, officially labeled as research equipment. But the volume measurements are inconsistent with standard research apparatus. Zixtel finished, their analytical mind racing ahead. Colonel, access your military channels. Check for any unusual electromagnetic signatures in these regions. Hayes' fingers flew across the holographic interface, her security clearance unlocking layers of classified data. The display transformed, showing a complex web of energy readings. There, she pointed. Subspace distortions at each location, but they're so subtle they were dismissed as background radiation. Not background radiation. Zixtel's scales shifted to alarmed amber. It's a resonance pattern, the kind used in quantum entanglement communications. Before Hayes could respond, the station's lights flickered briefly. Both Detective and Colonel froze, years of experience telling them this was no coincidence. He's already here, Hayes whispered, her hand instinctively moving to her sidearm. This is wrong. We're ahead of the projected timeline. Zixtal's sensory ridges detected a slight pressure change in the room. Colonel, the ventilation system. The warning came too late. A section of the wall seemed to ripple like water, and a figure stepped through what should have been solid metal. The GKOst system's camouflage field dissolved, revealing Major James Cooper. He stood taller than Hayes but shorter than Zixtal, wearing what looked like standard Marine combat armor, but with an otherworldly sheen to its surface. "Sarah," Cooper nodded to Hayes, his voice carrying the same calm authority she remembered from their joint operations. "And Detective Zixtal, your reputation for thoroughness is well deserved." "Stand down, James," Hayes ordered, though she knew the futility of the command. "Whatever you're planning, we can help." Cooper smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "You already are helping. Your presence here, your investigation. It's all part of the sequence." Zixtal's translator struggled to keep up as the detective rapid-fired questions. "The data thefts, the quantum signatures, the cargo shipments. What are you building, Major?" "Not building, Detective. Revealing." Cooper's stance shifted subtly, and Hayes recognized his pre-combat positioning. Humanity joined the Galactic Alliance hoping to find equals among the stars. Instead, we found patronizing mentors who see us as primitive curiosities. But some of us discovered the truth. "What truth?" Hayes demanded, noting how Cooper was carefully maintaining his distance from both of them. "That humanity's primitive nature is our greatest strength. While other species evolved specific advantages, we remained adaptable. The xenobiological research wasn't about studying us. It was about controlling us, limiting our potential." Zixtal's scales flashed warning patterns. "The cargo shipments, they contain human test subjects." "Volunteers," Cooper corrected. "Patriots who understand that humanity needs to demonstrate its true capabilities before we're relegated to a footnote in galactic history." The GAOst system was just the beginning. When our operation goes live, every human in Alliance space will receive an activation signal through the quantum network we've established. Those who choose to accept will be enhanced beyond anything the Alliance thinks possible. Hayes felt her blood run cold. Mass deployment of untested biotechnology. It would be chaos, James. You'd be condemning thousands to death. "Some will die," Cooper acknowledged with chilling calm. "Many more will transcend. Evolution requires sacrifice." Zixtal moved with unexpected speed, their larger frame lunging forward as they activated a neural disruptor. Cooper's enhanced reflexes allowed him to dodge, but Hayes was already moving to flank him. The three warriors engaged in a deadly dance, each bringing their unique capabilities to bear. Cooper's GHOST system let him phase through solid objects, making him nearly impossible to pin down. Hayes's years of combat experience helped her anticipate his movements, while Zixtal's alien physiology provided advantages Cooper's enhanced systems couldn't fully counter. But as they fought, both Hayes and Zixtal realized Cooper wasn't truly trying to defeat them. He was keeping them occupied, engaged just enough to. "The signal," Hayes shouted. "This isn't the real attack. Check the station's communications array." Zixtal's auxiliary eyes caught the subtle flicker of another cloaked figure near the main computer terminal. The real operation was happening right under their noses, and Cooper had played his role perfectly. "Clever," Cooper grinned, his form beginning to fade into invisibility. But too late. "The sequence is already initiated. See you on the other side, Sarah." As alarms began blaring throughout Proxima Station, Hayes and Zixtal shared a look of grim understanding. This wasn't just about stealing data or proving human capabilities anymore. They were racing against time to prevent a forced evolution that could tear the Alliance apart. And they were already 2 steps behind enemy lines. Alarms continued to blare throughout Proxima Station as emergency containment protocols activated. Detective Zixtal's scales had settled into a deep purple of focused concentration as they interfaced with the station's security systems. their crystalline eyes processing data streams at incredible speeds. The quantum signal is being bounced through 17 different relay points, they announced, mandibles clicking rapidly. Each point corresponds to a previous break-in site we hadn't connected before. Colonel Hayes had already patched into Terran Military Command, her neural implant displaying classified updates across her field of vision. We got reports coming in from across Alliance space, scattered incidents of humans suddenly exhibiting enhanced abilities. Some are losing control, others, she paused, jaw tightening. Others are organizing. The volunteers Cooper mentioned, Zixtal observed. They're activating in sequence, creating a cascading effect that's masking the primary signal source. Hayes pulled up a tactical display, overlaying it with the station's security feed. Look at the pattern of activations. They're not random. They're creating a perimeter. Military installations, research facilities, transportation hubs. They're isolating key strategic positions. Not just strategic. Zixtal's auxiliary eyes tracked multiple data streams simultaneously. Each activation site is near a major xenobiological research center, the same centers that have been studying human genetic adaptability. Because they're not just research centers, are they? Hayes's voice carried a dangerous edge. Your people have been doing more than studying us. Zixtal's scales shifted uncomfortably. It was before my time, but yes, the Alliance Council feared humanity's potential for rapid adaptation. The research centers were established to develop methods of genetic control, ways to limit human evolutionary capacity. And Cooper found out. Hayes laughed bitterly. That's why he chose those specific facilities. He's not just destroying the research, he's using it. Turning your own containment protocols into enhancement vectors. A sudden surge in the station's power grid interrupted their discussion. Emergency barriers began sealing off sections of the facility, but they weren't following standard lockdown patterns. We're being herded, Hayes realized, checking her weapons charge. Cooper's team is using the station's own security systems against us. Agreed. But why? Zixtal's sensory ridges detected subtle atmospheric changes. They could have simply locked us in. Because Cooper knows us both too well. Hayes was already moving, gesturing for Zixtal to follow. He's counting on us to figure it out, to chase him. Whatever his endgame is, he wants witnesses. They navigated through the station's increasingly labyrinthine corridors, avoiding the obvious paths that were clearly trapped. Hayes's combat instincts complemented Zixtal's analytical abilities perfectly. Where she sensed ambush points, they identified system vulnerabilities. Wait, Zixtal halted suddenly, their scales shifting to alert crimson. The station's quantum core. It's not just powering the facility. It's being used as an amplifier. Hayes processed this information against her military training. The signal Cooper sent out. It's not complete. This station is going to boost it somehow, turn a limited activation into something system-wide. Precisely. A new voice joined their conversation as a section of wall rippled, revealing another cloaked figure. This one was female, her geost system projecting the same otherworldly sheen as Cooper's. Although boost is an oversimplification. Dr. Elena Rossi. Hayes identified her immediately. Lead researcher on the J-Host project. We thought you died in the lab accident. Death is such a limited concept, Sarah. Rossi's form flickered slightly, suggesting her control of the J-Host system wasn't as refined as Cooper's. What we're achieving here is transformation. The next step in human evolution, freed from Alliance constraints. Zixtal's translator struggled to keep pace with Rossi's enthusiasm as she continued. The xenobiological research centers weren't just studying control methods. They were mapping human genetic potential. Every test, every experiment revealed more about our capacity for adaptation. Cooper's team didn't steal that research. We transcribed it into the J-Host system's core programming. You're using the containment protocols as a delivery system. Zixtal realized, their analytical mind racing ahead. The very tools designed to limit human evolution are being repurposed to accelerate. But it's unstable, Hayes interjected, noting the increasing fluctuations in Rossi's cloaking field. The casualties we're seeing across Alliance space, they're not just failures to adapt. They're precursors to something worse. Rossi's smile carried a fanatic certainty. Evolution requires sacrifice, Colonel. Those who survive the initial wave will be enhanced beyond anything the Alliance could have predicted. And when the quantum core amplifies the signal, she gestured to the station around them. Well, let's just say humanity's place in the galaxy will be dramatically reconsidered. The station shuddered, power fluctuations increasing as the quantum core began its activation sequence. Rossi's form started to fade, but her voice lingered. Cooper wanted you to understand, to witness. The Alliance tried to cage humanity's potential. We're about to show them exactly how impossible that is. As Rossi vanished completely, Hayes and Zixtal shared a look of grim determination. They had minutes, perhaps seconds, to prevent a forced evolutionary event that could kill millions and destabilize the entire Alliance. The station's quantum core had to be stopped, but Cooper's team would have every approach covered. Ideas? Hayes asked, checking her weapons one final time. Zixtal's scales shifted to a deep, determined bronze. The Alliance tried to control humanity through science and failed. Perhaps it's time we tried something less predictable. You mean fight like humans? Hayes allowed herself a small smile. Precisely. Zixtal's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. After all, isn't unpredictability your species' greatest strength? As they prepared to make their move, both Detective and Colonel understood they were about to attempt something unprecedented, combining alien precision with human improvisation to stop an evolution that could destroy everything. The station's countdown continued, and somewhere in its depths, Cooper watched and waited for the next phase of his plan to unfold. The hidden truth. Proxima Station's quantum core hummed with increasing intensity as Hayes and Zixtal made their way through maintenance tunnels never meant for regular access. The detective's scaled body barely fit through some passages, but they moved with surprising grace for their size. Tell me more about these containment protocols, Hayes whispered as they navigated another junction. The ones designed to limit human evolution. Zixtal's scales shifted through shades of discomfort. The research began after first contact. Your species' neural plasticity and adaptive capabilities alarmed many council members. Humans can learn and adapt faster than any known species, not through superior biology, but through sheer persistence. And that scared them. It terrified them, Zixtal confirmed. Most species evolve toward specialization. Humans remain generalists, able to survive and thrive in almost any condition. The protocols were designed to encourage specialization. Hayes processed this as they moved, her marine training noting potential ambush points. So Cooper isn't just trying to enhance humanity. He's using the Alliance's own research to prove their fears were justified. A sudden vibration ran through the station. Emergency lights pulsed in new patterns as the quantum core's energy signature changed. Hayes's neural implant flashed warnings about increasing subspace distortions. We're running out of time, Zixtal observed, their auxiliary eyes tracking multiple sensor feeds. The core's reaching quantum coherence. Once that happens, the signal goes system-wide, Hayes finished. But something's not right. Cooper's too smart for this. It's too obvious. They reached a maintenance hub, holographic displays showing the station's power distribution network. Zixtal interfaced directly with the system, their crystalline eyes processing data streams at incredible speeds. Colonel, they said suddenly, scales flashing urgent patterns. The power signatures, they don't match standard quantum amplification patterns. Hayes moved to study the displays. What do you mean? The core isn't just amplifying the signal. It's transforming it. The frequency modulation is unlike anything in Alliance records. Zixtal's mandibles clicked rapidly as they analyzed the data. This isn't just about evolution. The signal's carrying something else. A slow clap echoed through the hub. Cooper materialized from seemingly nowhere, his geost systems camouflage dissolving. "I knew you'd figure it out, Detective. Your species' analytical capabilities are remarkable when you're not blinded by fear." The evolution protocol is a cover, Hayes realized, weapon-trained on Cooper, even though she knew how futile it was. "What's the signal really doing, James?" "Awakening." Cooper's smile held genuine warmth, surprising both of them. "You see, the Alliance's research into human adaptation revealed something they never expected. Our seeming primitive nature, our generalist evolution, it wasn't random. There are patterns in human DNA that suggest interference." Zixtal's scales shifted to shocked white. "Ancient genetic engineering." "Precisely." Cooper gestured, and holographic displays sprang to life around them, showing complex genetic sequences. Long before humanity reached the stars, someone was guiding our evolution, not toward specialization, but toward unlimited adaptability. The Alliance's containment protocols accidentally mapped these dormant sequences. "The geost system," Hayes breathed. "It's not enhancing human capabilities. It's activating something that was already there, hidden in every human cell, waiting for the right signal." Cooper's voice carried an almost religious reverence. "We're not evolving, Sarah. We're remembering what we were meant to be." Zixtal's analytical mind raced ahead. "The previous facilities, the quantum network, you needed them to precisely map the activation sequence. One mistake could destroy every human mind in Alliance space, yes." Cooper nodded grimly. "Why do you think we took so long?" "Each break-in, each data theft was another piece of the puzzle. We had to get it right." "Who engineered humanity?" Hayes demanded. "And why?" "We don't know," Cooper admitted. "The genetic markers are millions of years old, but their purpose is clear. Humanity wasn't meant to be just another specialized species. We were designed to be universal adapters, bridge builders between different forms of life." A new alarm blared through the station. Cooper's expression turned urgent. "That's why I wanted you both here. The Alliance Council knows what we discovered. They're sending a fleet to destroy this station before the signal can activate. They'd rather kill millions than risk humanity reaching its true potential." "You're lying," Hayes started, but Zixtal interrupted. "He's not." Their scales had shifted to a troubled green. "I'm accessing Council communications now. A purge fleet is 8 minutes from arrival. The station, all evidence of the human genetic program. They want it all erased." Cooper's geost field flickered as he maintained his position. "So now you have a choice. Try to stop us and maintain the Alliance's comfortable lies, or help us awaken humanity's true nature. But decide quickly. Once the purge fleet arrives, it'll be too late for everyone." Hayes and Zixtal shared a long look. Everything they'd believed about their roles, about the very nature of human development, had been turned upside down. The station's quantum core continued its buildup, and somewhere in space, Alliance warships approached with orders to destroy them all. "If we help you," Hayes said carefully, "how do we know this signal won't destroy humanity anyway? The casualties we've already seen were from incomplete activations," Cooper explained. "The quantum core here isn't just amplifying the signal, it's completing it, making it safe. That's why this station was so crucial. Its unique properties allow for perfect quantum coherence." Zixtal's scales shifted through complex patterns as they processed everything. The Alliance feared humanity's potential so much, they built the perfect tool for unlocking it. The ultimate expression of unintended consequences. The station shuddered again as the quantum core's power reached new levels. Time was running out, and a decision had to be made. Help Cooper activate humanity's hidden potential and risk everything, or side with an alliance that had been manipulating human development for decades. The choice they made would reshape the galaxy forever, and they had less than 8 minutes to make it. Final operation. 7 minutes until the Alliance purge fleet arrived. The quantum core's hum had become a physical presence, vibrating through Proxima Station's superstructure. Colonel Hayes felt it in her bones, a resonance that seemed to call to something deep in her DNA. The Alliance Council knows about humanity's engineered past, Zixtal stated, their scales shifting through complex patterns of realization. That's why they've maintained observer status for human worlds, limiting our technology sharing. They're not protecting themselves from us. They're protecting us from ourselves, Cooper finished. Or so they believe. The truth is, they're protecting their own power structure. An adaptable, universally compatible species would change everything about how the galaxy works. Hayes's neural implant flashed new warnings. Purge fleet executing FTL exit maneuvers. 6 minutes. If we do this, she said to Cooper, if we help you activate the signal, what happens to humans who don't want to change, who don't want to remember what we were engineered to be? The activation requires conscious acceptance, Cooper explained, his GJ host field rippling with the station's increasing quantum fluctuations. No one will be forced to evolve, but they'll all have the choice. Zixtal's crystalline eyes processed multiple data streams as they interfaced with the station's systems. The quantum signature is stabilizing. Previous casualties were caused by incomplete activation attempts. This would be different. 5 minutes. Hayes made her decision. Zixtal, can you access the station's defensive systems? Already done. Their scales shifted to battle-ready bronze, but they won't hold off a purge fleet for long. They don't have to. Hayes turned to Cooper. How long do you need for a complete signal transmission? 3 minutes once quantum coherence is achieved. Cooper's expression showed genuine respect. The GHFOST system can handle the final calibrations, but we'll need to defend the core directly. They'll have boarding parties ready. The Alliance will see this as betrayal, Zixtal noted, but their scales showed determination rather than doubt. No, Hayes corrected. They'll see it as evolution. Isn't that what the galaxy's been waiting for? A species that can bridge the gaps between all others. 4 minutes. The station's defensive screens flared to life as Zixtal diverted power from non-essential systems. Cooper's team, previously hidden, began emerging throughout the station, each wearing a JOST system, each ready to defend their position. Quantum coherence in 40 seconds, Cooper reported. After that, we'll need to maintain core stability for the full transmission. 3 minutes. The first Alliance ships emerged from FTL, their weapons already charging. Proxima Station's defensive screens caught the initial barrage, but alarms blared as boarding craft launched from multiple vessels. They're not just trying to destroy the station, Zixtal observed, their auxiliary eyes tracking multiple tactical displays. They want to seize the research data first. Two-pronged defense, Hayes ordered, falling naturally into command mode. Cooper's team maintains the core. We handle the boarding parties. Zixtal, can you lock down all sensitive data behind quantum encryption? Already implementing. Their mandibles clicked with grim satisfaction, using their own containment protocols against them. 2 minutes. The first boarding parties breached the station's outer halls. Alliance shock troops, equipped with the best weapons and armor the Council could provide, encountered something they'd never trained for. Humans operating with fully functional GGOST systems, supported by a rogue detective's intimate knowledge of Alliance tactics. Hayes and Zixtal moved like extensions of each other's will. Her Marine combat experience merged perfectly with their analytical capabilities, anticipating and countering each Alliance thrust. Cooper's team held the core, the GA-host systems allowing them to phase through walls and appear seemingly at will, completely disrupting standard boarding protocols. 1 minute. Quantum coherence achieved. Cooper's voice carried through their secured channels. Beginning transmission. Core stability at 97%. The station shuddered as another Alliance barrage struck their weakening shields. Warning signals flashed across every display as more boarding craft approached. We need more time, Cooper called. Shield failure in 30 seconds. Zixtal's scales flashed with sudden inspiration. Colonel, the containment protocols. We can reverse them. Use them to enhance the station's quantum field instead of suppressing it. Do it, Hayes ordered, engaging another squad of Alliance troops. Cooper, prepare to integrate the containment field's energy into the transmission. 30 seconds. Zixtal's crystalline eyes blazed as they executed the most complex hack of their career, turning decades of Alliance containment research into an amplification system. The station's quantum field flared with new power, temporarily stabilizing their defenses. Transmission at 60%, Cooper reported. Core stability holding. 15 seconds. Alliance forces had penetrated to the secondary core levels. Hayes and Zixtal held their position at a crucial junction, buying precious seconds with every engagement. The station's superstructure groaned under sustained bombardment. Transmission at 80%. 10 seconds. 90%. 5 seconds. Complete. Signal away. The quantum core's hum reached a crescendo and then suddenly ceased. Throughout Alliance space, humans received the activation signal, not as an invasion of their minds, but as a gentle question, an offering of what they could become, what they had been engineered to be, waiting for their conscious choice. The Alliance fleet's weapons fell silent as reports began flooding in. Humans everywhere were evolving, not into monsters or super beings, but into something both more and less dramatic. Universal adapters, capable of bridging the biological and cultural gaps between all sapient species. Hours later, as the Council scrambled to understand their new reality, Hayes stood with Zixtal in Proxima Station's observation deck. Cooper and his team had already departed, their work complete. The Council will have to reorganize everything, Zixtal noted, their scales showing complex patterns of anticipation. Humanity's new capabilities changed the entire balance of galactic civilization. That's what they feared all along. Hayes smiled, feeling the subtle changes in her own biology. The potential to adapt, to understand, to connect with any form of life. They thought we'd use this power to dominate. Instead, you'll use it to unite. Zixtal's scales shifted to a color Hayes could now recognize as hope. Perhaps that was the original engineer's plan all along, not to create conquerors, but translators, bridge builders. And it all started with a detective and a Marine, Hayes mused, learning to work together. As they watched ships from dozens of species approach the station, not to attack now, but to communicate, to understand, both knew they had witnessed not just the next step in human evolution, but the first step toward a truly united galaxy. The investigation was over. The real work was just beginning.